Now it's time to take a look at Calling Elvis, which comes from the On Every Street album, which was the follow-up to Brothers in Arms. And this is quite a sparse track for you to play. There's two main guitar parts that are going on throughout, which is the kind of clean sort of rockabilly, very Nashville sort of telly-sounding guitar part, which we will touch on occasionally. There's one key harmony part in the middle which I've chosen to play because it's the predominant part, so that would be a clean part. And there's a couple of points where you would, hold down the rhythm guitar. The other part is really a crunch part, which has got a nice sort of warm overdrive. I've just dialed in a little bit of delay on my rack. I've set it to the tempo of the track. I'm using a bit of compression with my lovely vintage reissue custom shop MXR Dynacomp compressor, and I've got the crunch channel here on the little HT5 amp, but I'm also adding a little bit of boost, as I like to, with the Blackstar boost pedal, which is just adding a little bit of extra grunt to the front end of the amplifier. So the sound is, I'm using the bridge pickup of my guitar, but I've wound some of the tone off, and you can hear if I turn the tone up. Now if I back the tone off, I've gone about a quarter of a turn on my tone control. You can hear a mixture of using the fingers and backing the tone control off. You can get a nice, very kind of warm, thick sort of tone, and he has got a great guitar sound on this track. That's one of the reasons I really do like the kind of fingerstyle approach. It really does add a different tone to the way that you play guitar. So I'm going to play through the intro for you, and it's a pretty sparse guitar part. There's not really that much going on, a few little licks, and as you saw, I just played a little bit of it there for you to demonstrate. Mark Knopfler taps, which shock horror, so there's a little tapping lick going on there. So anyway, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we start off with a very long sustaining note, and obviously in a studio environment, the way that we're set up here, although my amp's sitting next to me, my cabinet is somewhere else because of being able to speak and the noise element that you'd get when recording in this kind of environment. So to generate the note, you heard that I managed to keep the note going. That was due to using the Dynacomp. I've got that set. I haven't got it set too harsh. I don't want the notes to be kind of choking as I play, but it's just adding to the sustain a little bit. And it's also possible to generate the note just by keeping the vibrato going. Obviously, if I had the speaker cabinet maybe in front of me, that would help with generating feedback. So the first lick is just hammering 7 to 9 on the D string, and then we hold that for 4 bars, and then we bend 9 up to 11 twice. We bend up, release, and bend up again on the G string. And then you've got to just tap whilst the note is bent on the 17th fret of the G. Release, then play 7 on the G, and then 9, 7 on the D. Slide 9 down to 7 on the A, 5 on the A, and then 7 on the bottom E. And then hammer 7 up to 9 on the D. And then which is 7 on the D, 9 on the A, and then hammer 7 onto the D string. So I'll just play that through for you one more time, slowly. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to take a look at the verse, and although there's going to be this backing guitar on your backing track, I thought I'd better just show you exactly what's going on. The lead guitar is pretty sparse throughout this first verse, and in the second verse, it's really for the whole of the one chord. It doesn't really play anything at all. I should point out that the chord progression is basically a B, and then we had the 4 chord E, and then the 5 chord F sharp. I'm obviously playing dominant chords there. It is a kind of a rock and roll sort of blues. I've changed to a slightly different tone, and I've still got the Dynacomp pedal selected, and I've still stuck with the 120 BPM, but I've just changed the subdivision to a very fast subdivision. You might be able to notice this little light going crazy on the front of my rack, and that's because I've set it so that it's on a 16th note. And is it a 16th note? Yes, it is a 16th note, so you can hear very, very short repeats. And I'm using that to just sort of emulate that old sort of country sound. I've turned the tone control up again on the guitar and gone to the next setting, which is basically the hot rail of this guitar split with the middle pickup. And I've got quite a nice sort of twangy sound going on with it. You could that's probably more of the way that Mark Knopfler would play it. So the chord is just a B5, and then at the end of the riff he plays an open A, so it's you're just 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 E and. So it's, so the last part is very, very straightforward. So that's the kind of clean sort of sounding chord part. One more time. 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're back to the crunch sound now, and we've just come out of the little intro solo, which was that. Now that last note that we played is held. And there's a little lick in the background, very, very faint, which is just bending 9 up to 11 twice, and then releasing and playing 9 on the D string. It's a really faint little lick. He's obviously held. And there's just that little lick in the background at the tail end. So then when we go to the E chord, we have this little fill, which is quite simply D on the D string at the 12th fret and B at the 12th fret, the B note. So we're going to that E chord. So we get 1, 2, and we just simply hold those 2 notes together. You can add some vibrato with your fingers or the whammy bar. Okay, then we have a 4-bar rest, and obviously the rhythm guitar is playing E still, so we've come in with that 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now that little lick there is sliding 9 up to 11 on the A, and then 9 down to 7 on the G. Okay, then we have another bar, and then up of rest, and then up to the F sharp 7th, and we have this little lick which is sliding sliding from 6 up to 8 on the D. So we basically resolve with a F sharp triad there. So that's 6, 8, 6 on the G, 7 on the B, and then slide 9 up to 11 on the G string. So. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the chorus, and the electric guitar, the distorted electric guitar, should I say, only plays a real small amount here, and it's based around this little chord figure, which is 9 on the D and the G, and then 9 on the D and 11 on the G, and then every so often he plays that little lick, which is the chord fill, and then 9 on the D and the G, and then 7 on the G, and 9 on the D. I've actually backed the volume off a little bit on the guitar as well to clean it up. And there's the usual kind of little percussive that kind of thing going on in between, which you would get from playing fingerstyle. Now the rest of the chorus is actually performed on the clean guitar, but it's up to you. You know, I think if I was playing it live, I probably would, but very subdued maybe, and then gradually build it. But anyway, let's swap over to a clean sound and just give you an example of what the clean rhythm part is doing during the chorus. Okay, now I've gone back to the clean guitar sound for the remainder of the chorus, and basically the chorus riff is based around the B5 chord, but you're hammering just hammering on. It only really sounds like he's playing one note, but I'm sure that it's just that note is more prominent within the chord, but I would hammer it on with the full chord. So you're just hammering on from the 2nd fret. Obviously, I'm still using the compressor. I've gone to our kind of slap back country style delay, and I've gone to the middle single coil and the bridge pickup split. So. And that would be the little clean rhythm guitar part during the chorus. Okay, after that we have like a little breakdown section, and for this breakdown section there's this little clean figure, and it's quite awkward to play because we've got, and then now the best way I can suggest to play it is that way, so that you're swapping over and using your little finger on the 9. So it's hammering on 7 to 9, and then 9, and then 7 pull off 4, and then 6 pull off 4, all on the D string. I have tried it, but as you can hear by how badly I played it, it doesn't really work. It's got to be the pull off. And that's the little repetition figure that goes on throughout. And there's a little harmony part which is added underneath. So that's going on when we've got all the little tom fill section. Okay, we come out of that, and then we're back to the clean chords. There are some little double stoppy electric fills going on at that part, but I will, or I have included those, should I say, on the backing track. And I'll leave those out of this lesson. I'm just trying to give you one part that you can play throughout. And obviously the more predominant guitar in that section is this clean part. If I just swap back to my distorted sound, I can show you a couple of little voicings that are being used, but it's stuff that we've pretty much seen already. as I just mentioned a second ago, before changing back to my crunch sound, there's a few little incidental fills, which are these very, very straightforward double stop ideas, which are very similar to the chords that the little chord parts that we've already seen. Okay, moving on to the next verse. The first section of the verse is just played with the clean guitar again, same kind of rhythm pattern that we've seen already, so that we saw in the first section. And then we have a few additional little lead fills, which I'll take you through now. The first one is just this little lick, which is the tail end of the B chord section before we lead into the E. It's so understated. It's just bending 11 up to 12 on the D, release, pull off to 9. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, then we're into the E chord, and we've got this, that little slide. So 1, we hold that. And then there's a little, that little lick as well, which is just a bending 9 up, hold time, release, pull off to 7, and then playing 9 on the D. So if I play those bars for you now, I'll count it in for you. And like I said, it's quite tricky for you to actually visualize where these licks are because there's no backing at this time, so make sure you listen to the original recording. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so that's the order of the licks, but they do sound pretty random with my occasional little counts over the top, but at least you can, kind of visualize. Just remember that that, and then we go into the E7 bar, and then that lick appears, but obviously the E7 chord is going to be played by the clean rhythm guitar. Okay, we're looking at the next part of the verse, which we're still over the E chord. We've got this little fill that we've already seen, that little slidey figure. Then we have this lick, which is just 7 to 9 on the G and then back to 7. And then we have this little fill, which is 9 on the G and the B and 7 on the G and the B and then back up to 9. And then we have this little fill, which is and we start off on 9 on the D and 11 on the G, so 1 and then we play 9 on the D and the G and hammer on 11 on the G, and then play again. Now back to 9 and then down to 7, so 1. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the next chorus, and there's a little bit more going on with the crunch electric guitar. So dynamically we started to climb, and it's a really, really nice little part, similar to what we've already seen. And I'm going to play through it for you first of all, and then we'll take a look. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that part, you're basically using these chord shapes, which are the 9 on the D and the G, and then hammering on 11. And then we're also using 11 on the G string and 12 on the B. And we've also got that cool little figure, which is hammering on so 9 on the D and 9 on the G, hammer on 11 on the G, and then play 10 on the B and 11 on the G, and then 12 on the G and 11 on the G and 12 on the B. And then occasionally we have that little figure that we saw earlier on. But again, with that section, play it as you feel it. You know, they're not incredibly strict parts, as long as you've got at the end. So. I've just played another variation on it there, and that works perfectly well.